Even Israeli former prime minister says Israel is committing war crimes in Gaza. I'm sure this is a line you've heard many times, and oftentimes when it's said, people are referring to Ehud Olmert, the, as I said, former Israeli prime minister. This has been an episode we had scheduled for I don't even know how long, maybe month, if not longer. And we are actually finally doing that. Welcome to the Daily Objective. Joining me today is Alex. Hey, Alex, and so we'll cover some of his sort of more recent comments as well as sort of his history. But Alex, as somebody who actually lives in Israel, how do you evaluate this former prime minister?
Well, I think that Ehud Olmert, from judging from the wars that we had when he was prime minister for like 5.5 seconds, he thinks that the objective of war is to lose as many soldiers as you possibly can and to hastily go into ill-advised conflict wherever possible. So if that's the objective of war, then I can understand from Eldomil's perspective that this has been very unsuccessful, this campaign, and he surely wants to see more carnage and bloodshed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so just recently, something I've seen is the defense minister Israel Katz basically thinking of this thing called basically building something like a humanitarian city. I think, yeah, it would be in Rafah area and would house roughly 600,000 Palestinians, but would basically be controlled by the IDF, meaning all movement in and outside would be controlled by the IDF to prevent the entry of weapons. Now, as you would expect from Ehud, he called this a concentration camp because anytime Jewish people actually try to defend themselves, anytime they try to basically, yeah, get some sort of security, that's what is a problem. The what you actually need for Israeli peace is apparently to, as we might go into sort of what his plan was for the Judea and Samaria, is basically get out because this is the way the Jewish people can survive if they simply give more or give in to the Palestinian demands. What do you make of his concentration camp remark?
Well, I mean, okay. I feel like, I mean, I can't quite remember how long he was prime minister for. I think it was like I think it was like a year or something. Four
Was
years?
I think it was 4 years.
That was how long his reign of terror was. Okay, wow. Um, I mean, for me, it's almost quite personal
Oh,
because
three
no,
years.
3 years. Okay, wow. That I've obviously tried to block that experience out. But for me, I really remember being I remember being with my family in Ramat Golan when the war broke out. The war He hastily went and had a war with Hezbollah. Um, I mean, it was pure terror, right? It was absolute terror because and it was also so many people my age or slightly older than me just lost their lives in this war. And it was so painful and so kind of, I don't know, it was so opportunistic. At every moment, Eudolmelt manages to put his own narcissistic, selfish need for attention above everything else, right? In the last days and in the last hours of the Second Lebanon War, just before the UN ceasefire was going to be announced at Israel's behest, right? Um, he decided, oh, let's send these young men in to capture an area that we're gonna, give, we're gonna retreat from 24 hours later. And 30, I think it was 33 soldiers were lost in that, right? And that was just such a narcissistic, cynical attempt to elevate his standing as a politician, right? To kind of go out, kind of go out with a swan song, okay, so that you can get the victory picture, right? Not victory, in fact, okay, I'm not a master strategist. I'm not a general. I'm not a politician, but I think if I was going to go to war, I may sit down and, maybe plan it with my war cabinets. I'd maybe consult a couple of major generals. But Ehud Olmert felt, no, I know better. He sent them away from Jerusalem, right? He sent the generals at the outset of the Second Lebanon War. He sent them away, right? Who sends their chief of staff away from Jerusalem when the war is broken out, right? Or you've started a war, send them away because you want to circumvent, you don't want them involved in the discussions, right? So this is the kind of person that he is. So of course he has an opinion on this. Okay, of course. This is his career now, his legacy. It's very in keeping with with his his I don't know what to call it, his regime.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is truly sort of, I mean, yeah, disgusting. What can you say? Is how much credence he is giving to the anti-Israeli crowd, right? It's you always hear that the former even former Israeli prime minister. You always hear things like that. But this guy, I mean, I was 5 when he was prime minister. So I wasn't really tuned in into Israeli political scene at the time. I was too busy with my own political scene. But yeah, I mean the fact that somebody like that could become a prime minister and later still is this sort of like actually like an anti-Israeli figure. Like, what can you call somebody who's calling, basically saying Israel is committing war crimes, basically agreeing with the Palestinian side on everything that Israel is being accused of in Gaza? And
Well, because he hates us. Remember, this is deeply personal, right? We locked him up. We at the end of the Second Lebanon War, he was so discredited. He was hated, detested, actually. His political career ended. His name, I mean, the amount of uh, rebellion actually in the IDF to serve. People said, we're not serving in this. We're not doing this. This is, we'll go to war, no problem. We'll go to war if we have to, but don't send us into a war that there's no objectives. We're not ready. We're not battle ready, right? Just to be slaughtered, just to be your political experiment, your cannon fodder. No. And then we put him in jail, right? So this is deeply personal for him, I think. Um, it's kind of like, oh, you don't want me, you hate me. I was so good and you guys just weren't, you weren't ready for me, or I don't know, like you don't deserve me or something. I feel it's deeply personal with him.
we have a super chat from PC. Thank you so much. He says he is woke. And we also have a super chat from Christian. Thank you so much. He says a little joke. Alex used selfish in a wrong sense when using it against Olmert. I think that shows still Alex's internalized altruism. That's
What did I say? Oh, okay. No, did I say? I don't know what it, I mean, well, actually, no, because I'm not entirely sure that leaders of militaries can be, they do need to take into consideration other individuals. I think that, it is, you can't
well, that's
simply
not what
say,
selfishness is about. I think you need to
well,
reread The Virtue of
no,
Selfishness.
I agree with selfishness. I reject altruism, but him there, I don't really know what to, I think maybe I feel more like self-obsessed actually is maybe more of the right term for it, but it is a very, like I feel personally angry about it because I do think of it as this kind of, it was a very self-centered thing to do. And that is a self-centered individual um leading a war, right? Where, potentially thousands of people are going to get killed. God damn it, that is dangerous.
We have a super chat from Jonathan, and thank you so much. And Christian in the chat says narcissistic. Yeah, I think even Ayn Rand, I think, had a term for it, right? Selfishness without the self. It's the
Right.
idea that, yeah, sort of like acting on your own interest, but you actually have no idea what it actually means, sort of to be actually selfish. Just to bring out one more thing he said recently. So, talking about this humanitarian city proposed by Israel Katz, if it did happen, he would call it ethnic cleansing. And again, it's exactly
Yeah.
playing into the cards. Ethnic cleansing is not even like a international law term. It doesn't even exist there, but it's exactly playing into it. It's not ethnic cleansing. Arabs are not being targeted during this war. There's not a, at least as far as I'm aware, it's not like because of the war in Gaza, because of the war on the Palestinians, Israel should go. It's not like all Arabs are being locked up. It's not like Arabs are now being persecuted because now it's like a convenient thing. It's somehow, despite that being the same ethnicity, somehow it's only specifically Palestinians who, meaning Arabs in Gaza, who are sort of feeling the end of this war, since this is the war against the people in Gaza.
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't really, again, these terms are absolutely meaningless, but I'm not entirely sure if Ehud Olmert even lives in Israel anymore. Okay, I could kind of see him in, like, the Swiss Alps or something, kind of cooking up this massive scheme. He probably had a lot of time to reflect on what happened when he was in prison. And I feel that maybe he may have said, it is, none of this is my fault. This is all just because the evil Israeli people who are genocidal and awful don't, they persecuted me or whatever. I really could see him, kind of doing that. And it is, I mean, it is entirely against his self-interest, actually, if you want to think about it, right? Because it's the when you are performing like a dancing monkey for anti-Semites, right? And being their parlor trick that they kind of pull out, right? Their sort of card to say, oh, look at this, the Eudor. It's like it really is. It's like kind of when they pull the rabbit out of the hat, right? They're pulling the Ehud Olmert out of the hat. And they're kind of, oh, look, I have this, I have that. And it truly reminds me of you used to have during the kind of the time of, I would say, the Red Terror, where you would have these false confessions that Jews would make, right? Because, the Soviets were obsessively, mystically kind of obsessed with Jews, right? Um, and you would have them making these false confessions all the time, right? Kind of for dancing for their dinner, so to speak, sort of like, let me live, let me know where I need to go now and make the confession. Yeah, it's true, we are controlling the world. Yeah, almost like the crucible kind of thing. And it feels to me that 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 Ehud Olmert, besides the fact that no, I don't think no one is forcing him to do that. That is essentially what he is. He is a dancing monkey for anti-Semites to use as a weapon to attack the Jewish people, because he didn't hurt them enough, right? He's not done yet.
Yeah, and I want to move on to something else, but before that, let me remind people about the Irreplaceable Spark Conference. It's a conference ARCUK is organizing later this year, October 25th and 26th, and let's listen from one of the speakers about it.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Honig from CapitalistPig.com and the Fox Business Network, inviting you to join me for the Irreplaceable Spark Conference. That's October 25th through 26th in Orange County, California. We will be talking all about applying objectivism to your life, real world stuff, how to become happier, more successful, more content, and more fulfilled. I'm also excited about not just meeting a lot of objectivists and admirers of Ayn Rand, but coaching them, mentoring them as well. So check it out, the Irreplaceable Spark Conference, October 25th through 26th. I'll see you there.
So that's objectivism.co.uk. You can Hello, I think we are back. I'm so sorry, we fell off for a bit. So we'll try to finish this off again. So sorry for this. We'll try to cut this part out. Hey, Alex, sorry, my internet fell off. So
It's probably Russian hackers.
yeah, they are hitting me hard these days. Sorry again for that. I should just mention people can still go to objectivism.co.uk. I should also mention you can use the code ARCUK Premium to get $100 off premium ticket, as well as 200 as well as ARCUK VIP to get $200 off the VIP ticket. Now, this discount code is available only today and tomorrow, so make sure if you are thinking about coming, make sure to get your tickets now. Again, that's objectivism.co.uk.
Yeah, can I just also add to that? So I just want to say as well, so it's funny that Christian should bring up selfishness, because that maybe is the first thing that I take away from the work of Ayn Rand, and from, obviously objectivism, is the virtue of selfishness, right? Is about that it's good to pursue your own rational self-interest. And that message, it really, for me at least, it does give you a tremendous amount of self-esteem, and it makes you really understand your personal self-worth. And I think that it's no mistake that when you look at objectivists in general, this is a group of people who do very well in business and do very well, in life. And I believe that message is a very powerful one, and I really I recommend everything that Daniel is promoting here, the event in October, as well as objectivism.co.uk.
Yeah, and big part of the conference will be actually sort of people who are successful in their life and used objectivism to do so, to sort of reveal how that happened. But we still have a little bit before we have to wrap up, before the reality show that we are bringing back. So I'll just bring up this. I'm wondering to what extent this really was on the table. So in 2005, of course, under Ariel Sharon, Israel disengaged from Gaza. After that, Ehud Olmert became prime minister and started considering disengaging from Judea and Samaria. I think it was called the realignment plan, which would include basically Israel disengaging from about 90% of the territory, annexing the rest, and
yeah, I mean, it's just typical. So before this I tried to block the memory of Ehud Olmert out of my mind because it's really is just so bad. Yeah, that's right. Nobody even voted for him. He took over because Ariel Sharon had his stroke, probably from the disengagement. If I'm going to be, quite frank about it, I mean that was such traumatic event. I can only imagine what it did to him, as it should have done, to be honest. But so he took over, he started his reign of terror. And there was a specific commission that was that in 2007 into the handling of the Second Lebanon War, and it was called the Vinograd Commission. And it said, quote, the prime minister made up his mind hastily without asking essential questions, without systematic consultations with others, without examining the implications or considering alternatives. The commission then went on to hold Olmert responsible for authorizing the war with no coherent plan and failing to ensure that IDF was even capable of having a war at this particular time. And also there was no war aims. The army kind of came to him and he sort of said, okay, like, what do you want out of this? Do you want total victory? Do you want us to have like, what does victory look like? Basically, they said, like, do you want us to destroy Hezbollah? Is that the aim of this? Is it to get the kidnapped soldiers back? Like, what are we doing here? And they just completely panicked. And then Major General Udi Adam was who's the head of the Northern Command, and the war happens in the north. So he's like the CEO of anything that happens after Netanya, kind of thing, right? And he said the political echelon acted out of panic. They sent us to war with no idea what the end would look like. And it just and this is the general who was sent away, literally like banished, basically during the war. Here you have the guy who is the CEO of the Northern Command, okay? And there's two options here. Either you want to send him away so that you don't need to deal with him in the situation room, rebuking you or whatever, not going along with your crap, or this guy's incapable and you should have fired him to begin with, right? So either way, you've totally screwed up, right? It's just, I mean, so that commission, I think, really was the thing that just completely buried him. And then he had his, corruption. And I mean, I mean, definitely, I would say just, I mean, it was such a terrible war because it was something that we are still feeling the effects today, or we did still feel the effects until the pagers, I would say. Because what it did is it gave Hezbollah this feeling that they were invincible. It gave them an opportunity to sustain a beating and then stand up and call it victory. It instituted 17 years of their unshakable belief that they could destroy Israel, and they acted aggressively, and they acted just they just terrorized, right? Paralyzed the IDF for 16, 17 years because of it. So we feel him even to this day. And all of his political posturing on Al Jazeera ain't gonna change that.
So yeah, Ehud Olmert, Prime Minister, convicted criminal, as well as a traitor. That was the topic of today's episode of the Daily Objective. Let me just quickly remind people they should also check out The Objectivist Guide to the Galaxy on Amazon. You can get it on Kindle. You can get it in paperback and hardback versions. If you are interested in science, objectivism, both or neither, it has 42 chapters inspired by Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy about life and science. So I think it's a really good read if you are interested in those topics. A link to that is in the chat and in the description. And in about a couple minutes or so, we have the reality show is coming back. We'll be talking about why Sargon of Akkad is so interested in defending jihadis. Link to that is also in the chat. Alex, just quickly, where can people find you?
Here on ARCUK, and I'm gonna recommend the Vinograd Commission if anybody wants to read the just scathing report on Ehud Olmert.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Alex. I was too used to having multiple people. Thank you, Alex, for joining me today. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we'll see you in just about a couple minutes. Bye-bye.